I didn't realize how much I was swimming upstream until I started this business, and living life based on others' opinions. I mean, I had some family members. They were kind but blunt about the new business I was starting, and I kind of had to throw that off, and it took a little bit of humility and confidence. But it was just myself, and it ended up being in sales, which is not that's not a good word in my family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ended up just being like this perfect fit, and I ended up having a knack for building this and marketing in a way to a specific group of people. And lo and behold, someone came along and wanted to pay me way more than I thought it was worth, because I was just doing it. How could it be worth this much, right? Like, I'm not a business genius. I mean, I have some basic acumen, but that's really what led up to, and it happened over a pretty short period of time, about 5 years, of when I made a major shift. And I would say, I'm not sure how aware I was being more authentic.
Yeah.
But I shifted towards something that was natural.
It was more
so
natural.
It was authentic.
So let's step back, because I think a lot of us sometimes feel like we're swimming upstream.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to, what was that? What were you trying to be and do that felt like swimming upstream, so that you could understand the contrast later?
Yeah, I was trying to do business the appropriate way, right? I mean, I have an undergrad in business management, and learned that stuff, and was always going to get an MBA, but anyways, had that mindset, right? And that's how I kind of was doing everything, and felt like I needed to manage, and I needed to, that I needed to be a great manager. It wasn't until I kind of stepped away and said, no, I don't know how good a manager I am. When that's what I've been doing my whole career. It's a little humbling.
Mm-hmm.
But to your question of what was it? I was swimming upstream, trying to be something that the business community told me I should be.
Which was what?
Which was a great manager, detail-oriented.
Follow the rules,
right? And when I got outside of that and just did things my way, and for me, it ended up being focusing on relationships and helping some people get what they want. It almost felt too easy. It was really strange. I'm still a little surprised.
Well, one of the quotes I mentioned in the course, but a lot of us have heard it, is, if a fish believes it's supposed to be good at climbing trees, it's going to think its whole life it's stupid, right?
Yeah.
There's this part of us that, we just kind of have our natural nature, strengths, values, connections, those types of things. And when we try to not be that thing, we're like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why does this, how come I can't climb this tree very well, And that's when I hear you say that. And maybe you can fill in some of those details around what was it about this new business that just felt more like, oh, I'm kind of in my natural habitat and I can just do my thing and it feels more natural. What were the actual activities of that?
Yeah, what's interesting is the part that I've said I'm not so great at, which was kind of some of managing in the details. I ended up going into it was actually the insurance space, a very specific niche in agriculture. And I partnered with a company out of the East that did all of the back office work. I mean, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt a little bit like I'm not running a real business.
Am I cheating?
Yeah. Like this isn't a real business, right? And I just focused on what seemed like too easy to me, which was finding people who needed the product and talking to them, helping them through that process, and then just taking care of them. And you can remember in more than one meeting when I'm like, yeah, it's not a real business, right? Like, even though the results were fairly impressive.
Uh-huh.
And so getting away from feeling like I had to do it all, I had to be it all, right?
Yeah.
And along the way, right, we've built a great team that does that, that's, is under me. But there's so many details about my business I don't even understand anymore. I understand the big picture, and I'm finally okay with that.
And what it takes to grow it.
Yep.
Yeah.